Your Vibe Tribe podcast. This is the official season 2 launch, and I am so grateful to have you here if you're listening in. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Eliana, and if you're a returning listener, I am so excited to announce that this podcast will officially be featured on YouTube. So if you want to watch, you can definitely watch on YouTube, or if you prefer to listen in, it will be on all platforms. So that includes iTunes and Spotify podcasts. So I am so excited to get started. If you are a returning listener, you know Your Vibe Tribe has been through a couple little phases. I took some time to recoup, rebrand, and just refocus, really dig deep and figure out what trajectory I wanted this podcast to go in, and really think about the impact that I wanted to have and the message that I wanted to put out into the world. So now that we've brainstormed, I am so ready to hit the ground running. Your Vibe Tribe podcast is going to be your roadmap to living a more intentional life. Bringing intention into your relationship, bringing intention into your career choices, into your passions, and really setting you up to have the right mindset to accomplish anything and everything you put your mind to. I know for me, my mindset has been a huge factor that has affected so many aspects of my life, including my career choices, my relationships, what I think I deserve, just so much. So seeking out people with different perspectives and different stories has really helped me in my personal life. And so I want Your Vibe Tribe podcast to be a positive moment, a bright spot in your life, and just a source of advice that is intentional, and also a place where women can come together and you get the chance to listen to different women's perspective and stories and how they got to where they are and the things that they've overcome. So I'm so excited to bring Your Vibe Tribe back. It's going to be a little bit shorter style, so a lot more digestible. Think about something that you could listen to on the way to work, on the way to your morning workout. Short, concise, but powerful. Before we get started, let's do some housekeeping. Make sure you hit the follow button and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. We're also on Instagram. You can find us at Your Vibe Tribe Podcast. And we're also on TikTok, also Your Vibe Tribe Podcast. So let's get into it. Today, we're talking about the roadmap that you can create to live a more intentional life. So if you Google the word intent, it comes up as a noun. So the definition is to have intention or purpose. As an adjective, it's when you're determined to do something. Going deeper, intent is really how we aspire to be. So in other words, it's how we want to show up in our communities. It's how we want to show up in front of our friends and family in a professional work setting. But intent really goes deeper than just goals or small things that you want to accomplish in life. It's really connected to your purpose, which I know is such a broad concept. And a lot of people, even myself, struggled for a really long time to find out what that is. How can you tap into that intention and into your purpose and really discover what that is? I recommend you start meditating. We're all busy. Your life is consumed with a million things that you have to do. We're constantly running around. If you're like me, you constantly have like a task list and a to-do list of things that you need to do every single day to get you to the next goal or the next place you want to be in life. You have friends that you go out with. And amongst all those things, it can create a lot of noise in your life. And what I mean by noise is that your own goals and your own wishes and your own purpose gets really lost, and how I like to put it, lost in the sauce. It gets really clouded by other things around you, and it can just create this cluster and mess in your mind. And I know that that consumes a lot of people. You just wake up every day and you almost start to just repeat the same day and the next day and the next day, but you kind of lose track of where you're going. You're going somewhere, but you don't really remember what that destination was anymore. You're just kind of going through the motions and going through the everyday actions. And that's where I think a lot of people are. They get really lost and confused, and then they just don't know where they're going or where they're going to end up. And they're just kind of letting life take them, and you're no longer really in control of your life anymore. It can be a really dark and scary place because, trust me, I've been there. And until something kind of shocks you out of it, you're not even really aware that you're in it. The reason I recommend meditation is that it gives you a moment to be with your own thoughts apart from the outside world and noise and the distractions of everyday life. So what I recommend doing is to take 10 minutes in the morning, whether that's at the sauna, after the gym, or sitting on your couch in the morning before you start your day and before you have your cup of coffee. I recommend just taking 10 minutes and just sit with your thoughts. And this 10 minutes will really allow you to clear your mind, quiet that noise, and give you an opportunity to really listen in with your thoughts. That really allows your purpose and your intention to come out, and you get an opportunity to really listen and decipher, okay, what is it that I want? And you just have a moment to ask yourself these really deep, thoughtful, thought-provoking questions that allow you to make more intentful decisions. I know meditation or sitting 10 minutes in silence can seem very daunting for a lot of people. I know when I first started meditating, it was kind of difficult to get started. So if you're a little nervous about doing it for the first time, I recommend going on Spotify and looking up some guided meditations. I have a book that I actually use for guided meditations, and it's super helpful because at least it gives you some positive affirmations and questions to guide you through the experience. I do recommend to have that just be a starting point and work your way up to doing a meditation without any guided voice or any sound recordings, but just really you doing it yourself. I recommend the mornings just because I really like to start my day off on a really positive and bright note. I like to start my mornings with a clear head. It just gives your mind a chance to recover from yesterday. It gives your mind a chance to actively eliminate those negative thoughts that you have and really set the intention for the day, right? And there's a lot of different types of meditations that you can do, but I think starting with a morning daily meditation will really help you clear your head. I also suggest writing down some thought-provoking questions that you can ask yourself during these meditations. I know a big one for me was to ask myself, am I enjoying what I'm currently doing? What do I enjoy doing? What brings me happiness? Who am I as a person? Asking myself those questions really helped me think and dig deep and discover so many more aspects of myself that I think we don't get the chance to explore when we're just like going through the motions of everyday life. Some thought-provoking questions that you should be asking yourself, and I know this might be difficult for some of you, I really do believe thinking through some of these questions will help bring a lot of that intention and clarity into your life. I really want you during this meditation to start thinking about what you want your life to look like in the next year, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. And it's not something you have to do all in one sitting, right? It could be a progressive set of questions that you get to as you start this practice. But the reason you want to ask yourself these questions, what do I want my life to look like in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? You want to see if the life you're currently living and the decisions you're currently making align with those future goals. Because if they don't, then you just answered your question. You're not living an intentional life. You're just going through the motions. So being able to ask yourself, like, okay, is what I'm doing today and what I'm doing tomorrow furthering me towards the life I want to have in 3 and 4 or 5 years? And if the answer is no, I want you to take just a hard look within and ask yourself then, what should I change in my daily routine, in my weekly routine, in my monthly routine? What should I be changing to really align myself with those future goals? I work in marketing, so I always use the analogy of a North Star, right? A brand has a North Star, kind of a guiding, overarching brand identity that people can always relate to. And I always think the same applies to us as individuals. We all need a North Star, just like sailors. The ocean at night is dark. It's hard to see. But sailors would use the stars as their guiding light towards where they were going. And I truly believe that us as individuals, as humans, we need a North Star that's guiding us. We need something that we're working towards. If that something isn't really aligned with who we are and what brings us happiness, what brings us joy, that alignment is just going to be off, and it's going to cause friction in other aspects of your life, in your relationship, in your career, in your happiness. So I really need you to find that North Star and figure out first what that North Star is, right? Like, where do you even want to go, right? What does that look like in a year? What does that look like in 3 years? And then ask yourself, what do I need to do each day, each month to get closer to that North Star? Because that will completely change how you feel about your life. Once you figure that out, you will feel so much more empowered, like you have direction, like you have purpose, and you will feel so much more empowered and in control of the decisions that you make each day. And I know this is kind of a cheesy analogy, but I feel like it's just so spot on. The roadmap, right? That map, that path to that North Star, it's not always going to be linear, right? It's not going to always be easy. Just like the ocean, there's going to be waves, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, there's going to be crazy storms. You need that North Star to guide you to safety, right? To guide you to fulfillment. So it's just such a spot on analogy. I freaking love it. I'm going to start meditating every morning, 10 minutes. And if you can't give me 10 minutes, give me 5 minutes. Like, that's 5 minutes out of your day. That's just going to be for you to start your day on a better note. And I am telling you, it works. For me, I like to go to the gym, and then after the gym, I sit in the steam room and I just think, and I think about all these questions, and I set the good vibrations, and I bring that intentionality into my mind during that moment. So whatever works for you, it might not be in the morning, maybe at night works better for you, and then you wake up and you're in a better mindset. But if you can do it in the morning, first thing before you start your day or do anything, that's what I would recommend. I need you to set clear goals. So I need you to ask yourself first, what can I do every single day to get closer to that North Star? So when I first started kind of getting into fitness and started creating content, I would set really unrealistic goals, and I wouldn't be really specific with those goals. So I would just set like, okay, just to give you an example, like, all right, I want to hit this many views on my next video, which is great, but like, can I really control how many people view my video? No, but I can control all the things leading up to when I press play on that video, right? I can do things to create better and higher quality content. I can engage with my community more, but I can't control how many views I get. I can only control everything leading up to when I press play. So I started creating goals that were more tangible, more specific. So for example, with creating content, I would set a schedule with, okay, well, I want to record 5 videos per week. That gives me 5 chances to have one of these videos succeed or do better. I want to make sure that I am creating very captivating, highly engaging content. So I want to be very high energy, and I want to make sure every video that I put out is high energy and has great editing. Those are all things and goals that I can control. This will bring a lot of clarity and focus into your day-to-day. Something that I like to do for these goals is that I keep it literally right on my phone. The name of my notes is called Daily To-Dos to Move the Needle Closer to Our Goals. So these are daily things that I like to do. They're tangible goals that I can do to move me closer to that goal that I have, right? My goal is to create the #1 women's mindset podcast in the world, which I know is a very big goal, but there are things that I can do every single day to edge me closer to that big goal that I have, that North Star that guides me. Another really big thing that I hear is, oh my gosh, I just don't have the motivation, or I'm just not so committed. I'm telling you, once you set these very clear and specific goals that are actually achievable, you will feel so much more motivated and stay more consistent. So it's like this weird concept of remembering that the North Star is there, but almost detaching yourself from that end goal, right? Like it's there, but I'm really not thinking about that North Star every single day. I have it in mind, but what I'm really focused on are all the little tiny steps I have to take to get there. Because I'm not thinking about all the 40 steps. No. Like we have to start somewhere, right? I want to start thinking about the first 5 steps I have to take. And then I'm going to worry about the rest. Because if you worry about the whole journey, like, that's insane. That's too much. It's just almost like intangible in a way. And that can create an overwhelming feeling that a lot of people end up taking and just not moving. Like it's so overwhelming that you just like stay frozen. Like I don't know if that's ever happened to you. That's happened to me before. Sometimes I have so many things to do. I would get so overwhelmed. I'm like, I just don't know where to start. And something that helps me in my day-to-day life at work is to just kind of write down a list. Okay, like these are 5 things that I'm going to do today, and I'm not going to move into the second step until I finish the first. And I think that's what a lot of people have trouble with, is that they're so worried about all the 50 steps they have to take that they don't even take the first step. And then you do nothing. So really setting those clear goals and really focusing on those first couple steps. Once you complete those first couple steps, then you can worry about the next steps, right? But that hyper almost fixation on what you have to do, like the next thing you have to do, that will help bring a lot more motivation, and also it'll help your commitment to what you're doing, because you're not going to feel like it's so out of reach anymore, right? It's there. You just got to do the first step in front of you, and then you're one step closer to that goal. So it's like this balancing act about remembering your North Star is there, but not letting it overwhelm you. Also, a big thing is accountability. And accountability is something that is still really hard for me. I think now that I've kind of learned where my weaknesses lie, I know the tactics that I can do to counteract that lack of accountability. And that's my daily to-dos to move the needles list. I set those clear goals that I can do every single day. And I know it's like, if I didn't finish that task, I'm like, that's on me, right? And I know there's a million excuses. I'm busy. I have a lot of work. It's late. I'm tired. Action before motivation. And I will say that every single day. And it's something that I have to tell myself still to this day. Action before motivation. You cannot wait for you to feel motivated to do the things that you want to do. You need to just do it, and the motivation will come later. Understanding that there are no outside factors. Like it is up to you. You are the one that's accountable for doing the things that you need to do. So really taking that accountability is going to help you almost feel so much more connected to those goals that you have, and connected, and almost feel like, okay, now I have to do this. Not I will, or I want to. No. I will, and I must do this. I want to recap. These are the 3 steps that I want you to take to start living a more intentional life. So 1, I want you to meditate. I want you to set 10 minutes out of your day to quiet your mind and really ask yourself these deep, thought-provoking questions. 2, I want you to start asking yourself these deep questions, and ask yourself, what can I do every single day to get me closer to my goals and what I want out of life? Remember to ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now in line with what I want in the future? And 3, I need you to hold yourself accountable and actually set realistic goals that you can do every single day. That's it for today's episode. And if you do anything, do it with love, passion, and conviction. Bye, guys.